Hello everybody, Flamin' Shark back with another video, and today we're going to be reacting to episodes 8 and 9 of Violet Evergarden. So 2 more episodes, pretty simple. We got 8 and 9, then we got 10 and 11, then we got 12 and 13, and then we got more. There's more shit after that. There's a couple more videos after that, because there's strangely quite a bit of content for this show, despite it only actually having one core as an actual anime, a TV anime. But for the time being, we are doing episodes 8 and 9. Of course, where we left off, last set was my favorite set. Really enjoyed the episodes. And where we left off was, of course, the big notable thing, because at the end of episode 7, Violet learned that Major Gilbert is presumed dead. And yeah, they found his dog tags and didn't find his body, so he's presumed dead by the army, and now we're in a position where Violet's in denial, and now it's kind of Violet's turn, ironically, as she's learned more about herself and has kind of become more human over the course of the first 7 episodes. Now she's the one that's going to have to suffer through, loss and tragedy and this strange word we call love, and really kind of find herself. So I'm very curious where this is going to go, and I think this is where the series really kind of it goes in a bit of a different direction from just Violet helping people to more Violet having to figure out how to help herself and move on. And I think this story could get really sweet or really sad, and well, it's going to have sad elements to it, but I think the story could definitely trend in a really sweet kind of beautiful way, or in a really fucked up dark kind of way. I imagine we'll get a little bit of both regardless of which way it goes, but I've been enjoying Violet Evergarden. It's certainly been an experience, and I'm curious to see what we get in these next 2 episodes. It's been something else for sure, like I said, and we still have quite a few videos, but none of them are going to be particularly long. I think the longest one we have will be the movie reaction, because I think the movie is pretty long. But these, like I said, the rest of the series we'll just be doing in pairs. It's a bit on the smaller side for me, but that's what we've worked out for the stuff. So, we have 8 and 9 here, then 10 and 11, then 12 and 13. So only 2 episodes to jump into, and we might as well not waste any time. So let's just jump right into episode 8 of Violet Evergarden. I'm just trying to get everything comfortable, relatively speaking, as good as I can. In 3, 2, 1, and play. Wow. That was something else. Holy shit. Wow. I don't really know what else to say, but wow, that was episode 8 of Violet Evergarden, and that was intense. So yeah, that episode mostly was flashbacks of Violet's time in the military with Major Gilbert, and yeah, that was really rough. There was a lot of, we just got to see, her being used, her as a tool, the dog of war, whatever. We got to see some of that, and then we eventually made our way into that final battle, which inevitably cost Gilbert his life, or at least seemingly did, because again, they never find his body, so we still don't have that full resolution, but we're watching through this, and he just got shot in the eye, so I'm imagining episode 8 might just, episode 9 might just continue on from where we were, potentially get a few more shots of Violet in the present, because this episode was a mix of what happened during the war and Violet in the present, trying to accept and cope with Gilbert not being around anymore. Obviously, she was able to cope with Gilbert not not being with Gilbert, and I think she could even cope with the idea of Gilbert not wanting her around anymore. I think what really the breaking point is the idea that Gilbert passed altogether. That's really what is the breaking point here for Violet and what really fucks her up. So it's like I said, I'm assuming episode 9 is going to continue and basically tell us the rest of the story of what happened in that final battle. And we're going to go into the next sets with the aftermath and wherever the fuck we go from there. But I did really enjoy that. That was a really cool episode. It's kind of weird because obviously there's not really a lot of suspense because you know, like, eventually what's going to happen. Like, we're eventually going to get to the scene from, I believe, episode 1, if I'm remembering correctly. But the scene from the beginning of the show, I believe it was the beginning, very beginning, if I'm not mistaken. But you guys know what scene I'm talking about with Gilbert and Violet. We're going to eventually get to that. This is just the story of how we get there. And obviously a lot of stuff that, I presume Violet has largely blocked out of her memories, or maybe she's just, doesn't like to think about, and now she's recalling. But whatever the case may be, it's still really, it's something to watch for sure. And I do like, on just a kind of smaller note, I do kind of like the brutal element of war. It feels very on the nose for this time period, this era, and it feels it just feels very genuine to that. Again, this not this mysterious time period, which we could certainly narrow down, but it's also, this weird fictional time period, whatever exactly it might be. But I did really enjoy that episode. I thought it was quite good. I'm very curious, like I said, if episode 9 is just going to finish that, or if we're going to potentially pivot and focus more on the present. But whatever the case may be, I'm sure it'll be really good, because that was a really solid episode of Violet Evergarden, and I'm curious to see more of this. It's cool to get a bit more of the backstory, even though, again, we're not getting like a ton, so it's not really a lot more than what we've already seen. We did get a little more of a logic behind the Hodgins and Violet dynamic now, based on that one scene. But I definitely think it's cool, but obviously I think the spice here is really lies in the present and how Violet's going to cope with Gilbert's with finding out what happened to Gilbert, or generally. I mean, even though part of the problem is even also the fact that it's not confirmed. The fact that they never found his body almost makes it worse. So there's a lot of sauce there, but I'm definitely curious what episode 9 has in store. And that was pretty fucked up, and it's only going to get worse, I'm sure, in the next episode. So I don't really have that much else to say. I feel like that was honestly maybe the most straightforward episode of Violet Evergarden so far. It was basically just Violet, kind of going through her initial grief over learning about Gilbert, and the rest of it was backstory on their dynamics and their interactions together. So there wasn't really a whole lot to talk about, and I think we're ready to jump into episode 9. So let's not waste any time, and let's check out episode 9. It's true.
Violet Evergarden.
Wow. The episode was called Violet Evergarden. Wow, that's cool. Oh my god. I'm like right on the verge of crying. I just kind of missed crying. I didn't quite. This show has gotten me on the verge of crying like every fucking set, it feels like. It's weird. It's not really a show that's like gotten me, but it's a show that's like gotten me close a lot. It probably still will. I mean, I'd honestly be surprised if it doesn't. We still have a few reactions left of this series, but This show is so beautiful. I'm really curious what the other episodes are going to be about, because in a lot of ways that felt like the finale. It felt like the culmination of the story up to this point. It felt like everything that had happened led up to that moment. Those words from Hodgins, like that felt like the culmination. Like that felt like the moment where Violet had accepted herself, accepted everything that had been a part of her and her life, and just she came to that moment of beautiful realization that it's okay to live. And Hodgins essentially said that. And I might work myself. I'm working myself into a shoot. I'm literally gonna fucking make myself cry talking about it. God damn it. I hate myself. I don't think I am, but I almost did just there. Holy shit. But it is. And it's something I'm really, I'm passionate about because, we want to talk about, dark themes and stuff. This is a show with dark themes. Let's talk about dark themes. And I think it's something, in my age range and people, maybe a little older than me as well as younger than me, I think a lot of us at one point or another have entertained some very dark and generally unreasonable thoughts for one reason or another, because there's a lot of awful things that you might entertain for whatever reason. And unfortunately, some people aren't able to overcome such demons, but it's important that we as human beings find ways to be there for our fellow man, be there for each other. We find ways to be more than just, we find ways to help each other. We find ways to, do the little things, right? So, my main contribution to people's lives is this. As stupid as it is, as silly as it is, I know that this means something to people. And the reason I do this is because I enjoy it, because I have fun, there's other benefits. Yeah, it makes a little money, the Patreon stuff, or, all of your support and your enjoyment of it, all of that's great. But in the end, the main reason I do this is because I enjoy it. I think it's fun. It kind of gives me, having to talk about it, maybe think about it a little more than I might in some scenarios when I watch something. It adds to the experience. And when I'm talking to it, and even though I'm watching it by myself, I am, in essence, watching it with all of you. And I know the impact that a YouTuber and, specifically in my experience, over the years, I've had people who have, and not like one person either. I've had, quite a few people, way more than you'd imagine, unless you are one of those people. But I've had people, message me before and tell me just how much the videos sometimes can mean to them, and just how much, my content might help them in times where they need something that makes them feel better, or whatever the case may be. And that is really profound for me. So I think anytime we have a story like this where we entertain these thoughts, and I think, I really enjoy stories that go in really dark, messed up directions, and it doesn't seem like this is going to go too far. I don't really know if it's going to go any further than it did in this set. But I think it's really important that we have stories that touch on these topics, because they're very messed up, serious topics, but they're topics that so many of you, so many of us, I mean, we, encounter in some form or another, whether directly through our own experiences or indirectly through the experiences of those we know. Most people will encounter in some form or fashion someone who deals with these demons, and it's important that we see the best of it and the worst of it. It's important that we have media that, portrays the uplifting nature of it, and I think it's important that we have media that where there's scenarios where the bad thing does happen, because it's a real thing. And I think it's rough, and like obviously there was, but even beyond that, Violet is trying to answer a question besides I love you. She's trying to answer the question of whether her life is forfeit or whether she's allowed to live her life despite the fact of everything she did when she was younger, and whether that negates her life, whether that makes her life void, forfeit, like I said, whether she has any right to live, whether she has any right to help people and write these letters as an auto memoir doll. Like, does she have that right? Should someone who did the things she did have that right? And it's a really emotional, poignant thread to pull on, and it's something that I really, really love, and I think is one of the things that I've liked the most about Violet Evergarden. I think I'm really struggling with where I put this show, because I think its visuals are incredible, its soundtrack is incredible, I think every technical thing about the show is fantastic, and I think the story is good, and it tugs on really emotional things, and I think it does it in a good way. Now, I don't know if it's like a goated series, because as much as it tugs on really emotional things, as much as I'm liking the series, I don't necessarily know, despite everything I'm saying, if it's one of my favorites or anything. But it does a really good job of getting its points across, and of finding ways to, whether or not you're anything like Violet, it does a very good job of helping you relate to Violet and feel her sorrow and pain, because her sorrow and pain and love are what's relatable about her, regardless of whether she herself is relatable, and I'm sure she is for many people, but even if she herself isn't relatable, the feelings that she feels are something that's universal. And that's something that I think is really cool about the writing of this show, and something I really appreciate and really love about Violet Evergarden is the relatability of it, despite the fact that in many ways the character can be unrelatable, because there's a lot of things about Violet that are, very rare experiences. Like, not many of you, and to be fair, maybe some of you are, but not many of you are going to be crazy ultra mega soldier with that type of experience of taking people's lives in that type of form. But there's a lot of things about her that is super relatable, and that's what whether or not her character is that relatable, the feelings she has and the experiences she goes through can actually be quite relatable, and it works is what I'm trying to say. But I think this would be an incredibly hard series for me to try and pin down actually how much I like it. But what I can say is I do like it, and I do really enjoy the rather simplistic and very important message that this series is purporting, which is the fact that you do. It's absolutely yes, Violet. You have every right to keep on living and do some good. Leave a mark on this world that isn't just death and destruction. Oh, man. And I really love that Iris and Erica were awesome and helped her out. That was really cool, because Iris and Erica are amazing and I love them, and it was really cool to see them helping her out and really caring about her well-being, because that's the thing, the people that get to know Violet really care about her, and I really love that too. So there's just a lot of really good stuff here, and it's really nice. So I really enjoyed that episode. I thought it was really good, and I'm really excited to see what happens next time. We have a couple more episodes, couple more sets, and then after that we have some other Violet Evergarden stuff. So even after we finish the television anime series, we still have a couple videos after that. So we still actually have a ways to go, weirdly enough, with the show. But that's perfectly fine. I've been posting pretty consistently. We're getting through stuff fairly quickly, so I'm really excited for what comes next. And yeah, I'm sure it'll be really good. But anyways, that's going to do it for my reaction for episodes 8 and 9. I didn't really talk a ton about what actually happened in episode 9. I was more focused on the emotional components behind it, but I think that's really at the core of it, right? The show's less about what's actually happening and more about the emotional feelings behind it. But anyways, that's pretty much all I got to say. So if you want to support the channel, the Patreon's down below in the description. My Discord server also is down below in the description. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, without any further ado, it is time for me to bid you adieu. Flaming Shark signing out. Hope you guys have a wonderful, fantastical day, and I'll see you next time with another video. Thanks for watching. Peace.